using AWS Light Sail with this one. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump to it. See if I can get this thing lined up the way it's supposed to be. That's looking kind of like what I would want. Yep, there we go. All right, good deal. So I know it says module 5, and you know, I've only just done, I guess, just a basic intro, but I think this one kind of goes in hand with it. It is just a quick look at some of the basics of the CLI, or the command line interface. So, what we'll cover, just some of the basics, CLI, command line interface, the overall shell, some commands, how variables work, different command types, quoting, as well as some control statements, or at least we'll most likely get to that. All right, so CLI, command line interface. Linux community promotes the CLI due to its power, speed, and ability to accomplish a vast array of tasks with a single command line instruction. CLI provides more precise control and greater speed and the ability to automate tasks more easily through scripting. By learning CLI, a user can easily be productive almost instantly on any flavor or distribution of Linux. That really is kind of the power of it, right? It's pretty universal, pretty common, obviously from one distribution to another. There may be certain differences with how you update the system or receive packages, retrieve packages and all. So there are some differences, but generally speaking, many of the commands that work on a Linux box will also work in a Mac. Generally, most of the commands will work in a Ubuntu environment or in a Red Hat environment. So yeah, so the shell. We're talking about when we hear the shell. All right, so once you've entered into that terminal and you have been accepted, then you are, dropped into what's considered the shell, right? CLI provides more precise control, greater speed, ability to automate tasks more easily through use of scripting. The shell is the command line interpreter that translates that command entered by a user into actions to be performed by the operating system. Linux environment allows the use of many different shells. The most commonly used shell for Linux would be the Bash shell, and there's so many. It's like the Bash shell, C shell, no shells. It's another one. It's a bunch of them. But generally, it's just the terminal, right? And so whatever the default one is that comes with the system is generally just fine. It's like a very stripped down development environment, or a reflection of something like the DOS prompt in Microsoft, and like the terminal in Mac, and in Linux is considered a terminal as well. So some of the features, command line history, some inline editing and scripting. So scripting is like, hey, right in that same environment, you can, bang out commands to, create a small script, a small program that's going to execute some kind of automation task or something, update something, make a folder, update that folder, anything along those lines. So aliases, another one that's pretty cool. You can utilize and enable aliases for shortcuts for, let's say, if it's some command that you will run repeatedly at the very beginning of that program, you may say, hey, let me just create an alias for it. And then so later on, as the program, as you need that, you can just call it by its shorter alias name. And variables used to store information for the Bash shell and for the user. Again, you can utilize this as a true IDE or development environment. Just a quick look at when the terminal application is run and shell appears. displaying an important interface, the prompt. Typically, the prompt contains information about the user and the system. Below is a common structure. It'll look different than what ours will look like when we launch our Lightsail application. But you have it showing the system admin, the user's name, right? So in this case, it's called sysadmin. That's the user's name. Then on the system, and in this case, the system is called localhost, very common. And then that little tilde is the current directory. And it shows you here that that's used as shorthand as the home directory. So whenever you see that little tilde, you're in your home directory. Some commands. So obviously a command is a software program that when executed on the command line performs an action on the computer. So it kind of takes your input and does some processing to it and then does some kind of output to kick it back out to you. And if you type ls, I like to use ls in my mind. It's like for list or it's for light switch. And generally how I try to describe that is like, ls is like a very valuable tool because it tells you who is in the room with you, right? So, just imagine you going into a haunted house and it's pitch black and you walk in and you have no idea what's going on in that room, right? So, obviously you are probably inclined to turn on the light switch, ls. So, always look around. Linux, similar to like, Cisco, and other just kind of command line type environments, it's a lot of the challenge and the difficulty is knowing where you're at and, what you can do in those different modes or in that different location. Location becomes very important for when you're trying to install certain software or you're trying to, create a folder and, you need to have matching files in that folder for something to execute. Any number of those things could kind of come into play, right? So in this case, they typed in ls and they got, hey, everything that was there, these various folders, just like you would see in your GUI, where you've got the desktop, you can navigate to documents, downloads, and so forth. Some commands require additional input in order for them to run correctly. This additional input comes in a couple of forms. One is that of an option and an argument. Options are used to modify the core behavior of a command, right? Arguments are used to provide additional information, such as a file name or a username. And, again, this is a fine representation of what they're trying to tell you. The command and option and then argument, right? So the options come first, the arguments come next after the command. Close look at arguments. Argument can be used to specify something for the command to act upon. If the ls is given the name of a directory and its argument, it can list the contents of that directory. So, which is super cool, right? So, obviously you have to have some level of information about the file system and kind of what you're looking for. But from wherever you're at, like this user is at his home, in his home location, and just type ls space / etc/ppp, and it just magically jumped into those folders, and it just kind of read what was there, right? So it listed that onto the screen. ls for list, light switch, whatever else you would call it. All right, so it just kind of shows what's in that file. So very quickly, it kind of lets you know, hey, you can be extremely powerful without having to move around, right? You're just in your command line from your home, your little home group, and you can navigate around and jump from one place to another place, right? Some commands such as ls can accept multiple arguments, as in this case we see they're looking at the etc/ppp, as well as the etc/ssh. So you can have a couple in there. Then options are like modifiers, right? So options will say, hey, instead of a ping lasting, for ever, infinity pings being sent out. Instead of that, then it looks at, you can maybe control that and say, hey, just send 4 pings. In this case, for example, we're using the -L option of the ls command, results in long listing, providing additional information about the files that are listed. So again, you'll see that it shows up, information shows up a little bit different than it did when it was just the ls. Options are often single letters. However, sometimes there are words or phrases as well. Typically, older commands use a single letter, while newer commands use complete words for options. Single letter option preceded by a single dash. Character like -H, that type of option. Full word options are preceded by a 2 dash. Characters like the full word from the -H option. Human readable in this case, right? Command history, looking at things you can, when a command is executed in terminal, it's stored in a history list, makes it easy to execute the same command later, eliminating the need to retype the entire command. Very valuable shortcut, keyboard shortcut that everybody should adopt, and that is just kind of pressing the up arrow key in order to gain some traction with your history, right? So if you run a command and let's say you got the command pretty close to right but not completely correct, and you want to run it again, instead of typing it all out, hit the arrow key up and then navigate and correct whatever the mistake is. So in this case, we've got history, and that means they've run date as a command, ls as a command, calendar as a command, history as a command, right? So not much going on with that system, which is just how we like it. The design command is in the list that the history command generates. It can be executed by typing an exclamation point. Another one of those kind of like little key things, right? So if you know what if you do a search for your history and you see that, oh, the command I want to run was command number 4, 3, or whatever, you can execute it by putting in a shortcut like exclamation point. Execute the most recent command type, 2 exclamation points, enter. Execute the most recent iteration of a specific command, type exclamation point command, and hit enter. All right, so we will try all of these. Maybe we should just jump to that. Yeah, how about we just jump to that show. We just want to get to there, so we'll start with the LS one. All right, so let us go ahead and launch our Lightsail environment. All righty, so this is the Lightsail build that we made the other day, and it's a tiny machine, but it's perfect for our testing. For our testing purposes, right? So again, this is Amazon Lightsail, AWS Lightsail. It's a quick way to spin up a VPS, a virtual private server. I like them for testing and just kind of playing around, a little bit of education, as well as building on with very minimal difficulty to get up and running, right? So I've primarily used kind of S3 within my AWS account. That's kind of been my primary go-to. I have done a couple of these websites for testing and trying to figure stuff out before I was on some kind of production machine. So you can use for all kinds of stuff, but today we are going to restart this guy. Let's hit start. See what happens. says start is pending, so we shall see. Hopefully it kicks in. While it is, we can, we'll go across here and check this out. So this really is like a EC2. It's like Amazon's standard kind of VM virtualized machine that you can run, right? EC2. It was kind of like the originator, so it's a little more raw than this one, and this one is pretty raw. And but it does come with a couple of cool features, like the ability to kind of log right in. It'll dump you right in, so like I don't need my own SSH client for this. It works within a browser that's kind of launched with it. So I think either one of these are the way to go. We can go with connect, and I believe we can go with this kind of terminal. Let's hit connect and see if it dumps us right in or not. Hey, looking pretty good. All righty, so we are in here on our in our terminal. And so we will try to run a few of these commands. Let me go to that guy. And let me try to adjust some of this so we can kind of see the same thing as we're going through. I think it's still on the screen. All right, cool. All right, so we'll do ls. And so for me, the only thing that's listed is project 1, which was just a folder that I created the other day. So we're in as this user named EC2-user, and on the machine that is an IP address, right? So this is the machine that I'm on, and this is the user, right? It gives us a suggestion. It says no package needed for security. 2 packages may be available for update, and we can do that. So let's try it. See what happens. All right, so something happens, has been happening within a Linux environment is that there's some repository of software, meaning that the software that needs to be updated is stored somewhere else, and then your Linux box can reach back out to it and say, hey, I see there's an update, I'm sure I will update. So here I can answer the question, is this cool? I'll say yes. And complete. So there's another command for you, clears the screen. No worries, we'll need keep on hitting the enter button. It's kind of like my my thing. All right, let's see what else we got. Another command, it's kind of like ls, but that I really like is pwd. Again, that's one that will give you a breakdown of where you're at. It's the present working directory. And so it just kind of lets you know where you're at on this machine. So this is pretty easy. Commands, let's try ls-l. Right. So there we go. It tells us, hey, this folder, this directory that I created called Project 1, has some matching information. Talks about the the date it was created, who created it, what the powers that they have, what the directory is a D, and the read, write, execute, write, and execute. So he has all power, right? That's something to keep in mind. Let's try the one that they say, which was ls /pp. Alrighty, so there we go. So we've got a few additional things in here. So something else we may decide to do and say, well, what are these IP information things, right? So maybe we want to read one of those files. So something that may potentially allow us to read it is cat. It's for concatenate, I believe, but it's cat. So it basically it's like reading the file, right? So it's a read-only application. It doesn't destroy the file. So we will see if we can do that. So where is that item? It's in the /etc, and it's under the PPP. And then the name, let's try IP dash up IPv6. All right, so you may see that where it just extended out almost automatically. That was me hitting the tab button. So that's always another kind of fun keyboard shortcut. Kind of helps to let you know you're doing the right thing. So use it often, just like the history, up arrow key, and then the tab key while you're typing something out. Help speed it up. Alrighty, so it was able to read that file. And within Linux, something that is pretty cool, but it's pretty intimidating, is that everything is a file, and everything can potentially be modified and changed, right? It is completely open source, so you can get down to, this is clearly a script that is being run that is allowing for IP v6 to IP v4. It's giving it runs a script in order to process that, right? So that, hey, if there's an IPv6 address, we can still map it back to whatever the device is, right? Yeah, that's pretty much all we wanted out of that. Just see if we can do it. We can read the file, and again, let's do clear, and we'll do history. So there's our history, and so this gives history from way back from the other day, as well as today, which is pretty much just clear, update, and all these guys here. Let's see what else is next. Let's do the double check. What do we say? Space /etc /h. Alrighty, so there we go. So it's able to see both items. This is the PPP line here, and then this is SSH here. Right, so what else we got going on? We did the LS and -1. We did the history. Now let's see if we can do a couple of these. Let's see. Most recent command is the exclamation point. So I hit it twice and it just did it. So let's try update. All right, and now let's do. There we go. Yeah, so the most recent command, 2 exclamation points. Exclamation point, and then the name of the command you can also do. All right, so let's see about variables. All righty. So before I do that, again, I'll do another ls, and I just see project. So let's do let's make a new folder, right? So mkdir directory named 2. ls. All right, so now we see project 1 and we see project 2. We will cd, just change directory into project 2. Now you see with the prompt here, it shows me as project 2. So that's where where I'm at right now. So inside of here, obviously, there should be nothing, right? It's total 0. So ls space dash l, so it's total 0. So let's see if we can try to create something. See, to set a value of a variable, use the following assignment type expression. Variable equals the value. So let's try equals something new. Let's see. Oh, let's do. There we go. Yeah, what was missing was the echo that pushes it out. So let's clear that out. And so environment variables. So environment variables come into play for a number of things. Us right now, let's just do a couple of these. Let me see. Knowledge. There we go. Yeah, so each of those path, home, hit size, variable, whatever, if you do echo, it will go and find that information and then spit it back out to the screen. So, obviously we see here that the path of this thing is through the USR local bin, USR bin, USR local bin, S bin, USR bin, home, local bin, home, user, right. So it's super long. It's a long pathway. So if you needed that for, let's say you're trying to install something, you want to make sure that it went to the right spot. That's one way to try to search for it or figure it out. So let's try somebody else. That would be that will be hit size, no love. Let's do because it's a home, doesn't tell hit size. I don't think I have hit size as a variable. All right, so env command tells you kind of the full detail of the environment that you're in. And let's scroll it back up a little bit. So, environment, and it's telling us what kind of sessions exist, the kind of terminal you're in, the IP address, SSH client, where they can, does show hit size of 1,000 there. Various colors there. All right, so we did. So let's do that again. Let's clear. That's like I like it. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that we saw, obviously, in that setup. And this one is getting us to pipe grep. Let's see, how about grep? Cool. It didn't grep anything. And path. All right, so we talked about some different command types and what they are. You've got internal, external, alias, and functions. CD is for change directory. Again, I think we did that one. So let's do a ls again. Nothing inside of here. We can make a couple folders. Make a directory called inside one space. So we just made two folders. Let's hit ls to see if they were created. Inside one, inside two. We'll do a couple more. Let's see. A which, that's a good one. Which is again like another search method. Which ls n There's some information about where what is held there, and it reads it back out to you. External commands are commands executed by typing out a complete path to the command. External commands type command displays the location of the command. It may sound pretty weird, but what it's saying is you're asking for the type of file. If that's the goal, then this will give it to you, and it will also give you, where its location is, where you can go and find that file and make a modification to it if you need to. Display all locations of the command name. Use the -A type line. So echo. It gives you some of the different breakdowns here. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much all I wanted to just kind of touch on just really quickly. Again, I'm trying to just test out this platform of the apps app, and it seems pretty cool. I am enjoying it a bit much, and I was trying to see, what else we could get into with it. So that's it. Next up, we'll take a look at maybe a few more quotes, a few more commands, as well as the control statements. So so that's pretty much it. Our project light sail guy is doing fine. But yeah, alrighty. So feel free to reach out to me, hit me up. Again, I'm just kind of testing out this platform, trying to find a different venue to try to get some of this information out there and seeing how smooth or not smooth this platform is. But I'm liking it. It seems pretty slick to me. There's a lot to do. It can be a little bit overwhelming when you first look around. You're like, oh my goodness. Uh, but it's cool. Yep. So again, this is the basic Linux command line Extreme Basics. Uh, just wanted to run through a few potential options and see how this system works out. All righty, guys. So we're going to end that one there. Yep.